Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. We got Zoe Leigh. Welcome. Did I say your last name right?
Leigh.
Zoe Leigh, how you feeling?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. You got your folder out, like you got stuff to talk about today. Like you're not coming to play.
There's not too many people I like to watch more on Instagram because, we always had these conversations about you got to be involved, with your local politics and, you got to be on top of your local government. Zoe be at these city council meetings in Chicago every week.
Every week.
Raising holy hell.
Holy hell.
So I want her to talk about all of that. What happened between you and the city of Chicago?
Yeah, the whole city, huh?
Yeah, the whole city. So in 2017, the city of Chicago elected officials, the building department, unlawfully demolished my family's property. And that is the violation of the Fifth Amendment. And the city of Chicago manipulates the Fifth Amendment because they say that it really wasn't the Fifth Amendment because there wasn't a roadway or there wasn't a railroad, so technically it's not that. But then they have demolition laws, and demolition laws is you still have to compensate the person, and we have yet to be compensated.
Now for people that this is all over the country. So to break it down in simple terms, if you own a property, the city cannot just take your property unless they say they have to build a roadway, a highway, or something like that,
Yes.
or some type of public transportation to get people from left to right, whether it's a train system, subway system, or something like
But
that.
either way, they still got to compensate.
But they're
They
not
still
allowed
have
to
to
take a thing. If they do, they're supposed to give you market value for your property or home. We see it happen all the time, but they didn't give you anything at all. And you're saying there was no subway or highway or train system or nothing like that there. So why did they say they demolished the property?
They said building violations, and it's crazy because my mother was fixing up. It's a commercial property at that. So it's commercial property at the bottom. It's 4 apartments at the top, and my mother was working on it. And how we found out that the building was unlawfully demolished was the electrician. He called. He said, "Hey, Miss Marsh, the building isn't here." And my mother called the city. They had no information.
But you own so you didn't even know they were going to demolish. They didn't tell you that they were going to demolish the building. You just drove by one day and the building wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, the electrician.
That's crazy.
And said that it was no longer there. So my mother at the time, she's 73. She's like, "No, they're not. They're not supposed to do that." So she went, down to City Hall. She spoke to the law department. They really couldn't give her any information. But one person in the law department told her to go get a police report. So she did go back and get a police report. And then they told her to file a claim. She filed the claim. And they said that the reason why we weren't paid out was because of building violations. And I said, well, where are the building violations? You have to go to buildings court. You have to go through a whole lot of stuff. You just can't knock down a building. And come to find out, my mother was fighting this by herself. At that time, I was managing and I was working, doing my own thing. And I kept telling my mom, I'm like, well, just get a lawyer. And in Chicago, they have it where you can't get an attorney. You can't get in the black communities. What they have done is they prey on black seniors. They play on our communities and on buildings and properties that are already paid off. So not mortgages, and that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. You own a home, but if you're still paying a mortgage, do you really own that home? These homes have already been paid. This has been in my family since 1965. Okay, it's a Sandpiper Lounge. It was a landmark. Before that, it was Fannie Mae Candies. So
there was no tenants. They didn't have to take anybody out the building. It was empty.
No. My godfather was living in there. They told him he had 10 minutes to get out, and he's 80.
Jesus Christ!
He had 10 minutes to get out.
10 minutes to get out, and he's 80. Now, mind you, they don't have social media. They don't, and then at the time, the only attorneys that you can get for stuff like eminent domain or them stealing our properties is 2. It was 2, and it was Vodoliak, it's Ed Vodoliak and Ed Burke. Now, they both have been convicted of stealing properties. Like they're were aldermen at the time. So Chicago has a thing that no matter what, you're not gonna get no justice. Like Chicago's one of the most corrupt cities on earth. And they put my mother in the hospital twice. So I had to leave Atlanta, put myself in storage, and I've been fighting ever since. Now, mind you, while I'm fighting, I'm dealing with this immigration invasion that's coming in. I have other black seniors that are coming down to city council as well because they're stealing their properties too, and it's only in certain areas. It's in TIF districts. Now, New York is a TIF district. Do you understand? You know what that is?
No, what's the TIF district?
It's tax increment financing. So they're supposed to give you money in blighted areas, in predominantly black areas, and they're supposed to help you build your community up. But the
Give
money,
you tax breaks, things like that. They want to encourage more people in the community to invest back in the community.
yeah. And what they're doing is they're taking the money. We call it a piggy bank, and they're giving it to predominantly white areas and now Hispanic areas. And our black areas are not getting anything, but it's in certain areas. Inglewood. My property was in Auburn, Grisham, South Shore. South Shore is the only black area still in Chicago that's by Lake Michigan. Everybody know about Summertime Shop. So they're taking our properties. You can't get any help. You can't get any media, you know, and I'm not from Chicago. My mother's from Chicago. My mother left there in 1978 because it was so racist. I'm from Albany, New York. And I just fight different. You know, when I first started this, everybody was like, oh, you're going to need 100 people. And I'm like, nah, because everybody, it's different times. It's a different generation. Everybody not going to fight like me, you know. And I've always been that person to question, to challenge. I know how to read. We have to know our Constitution. A lot of people do not know the U.S. Constitution.
You know, the crazy thing is, if you had squatters in there, it probably would have took them a lot longer to get it out because a lot of times squatters have more right than the actual homeowners and business owners. Let me ask you a question. I know when they said the violations, I know a lot of times, especially the government, what they do is they'll give you violations like they say you had trash on your property and they'll give you a ticket for that. Was that part of the violations, things like that?
Now they're giving us, because we still own the land. So now they're giving us violations for that. No, it was, they said it was abandoned. It wasn't abandoned.
Abandoned, they do that if the doors are not locked or the windows are broken.
Basically abandoned. That was the main thing. They said that one of the doors was messed up. It was not messed up. It's just that they wanted that property. They wanted that property because it was in a TIF zone. And they continue to do this, and they do it. They prey on seniors.
Yeah, I've heard that before. What is the property worth? Well, what would be the value of the property if it was up and running and everything?
Probably about 10 to 15 million.
Wow.
And
has to be. It would have to be more than that because you would have to also count in the fact that if you had tenants and you had rent.
Yeah, especially now with this immigration situation, like. You know, like that's one thing my mother said, like, damn, if we had the building, we'd be able to house because they're giving so much money out. You know, so and rent is expensive. Like the fact that I have to pay rent a month when I have 4 apartments and a commercial property. I have my own brand. I'm into comedy. I'm in a lot of uncomfortable truth lifestyle. My motto is paper, pussy, peace. You know, and
used to manage Dick Gregory.
And I just feel like I'm just not I'm being heard, but I'm shadow banned as well because at the end of the day, this is a thing that happens in Chicago. And if I get heard or if, you know, thank you, I appreciate you guys for letting me on this platform because Chicago's scared, you know, and they're scared because they know this is what they do. We have 110 Illinois state black representation in Congress, and they don't do anything.
They don't even bring it up.
And this is a Democratic city. So, you know, when people talk about Democrats, you know, how the democracy and how they care, Chicago's different.
So what are they saying the building is worth, and what are they saying? Are they just saying, well, we just demolished it, F you and your family?
No,
what are they saying now?
That they were not under the impression that we owned it. So that is one of the arguments, and it's been in a trust the whole time. So they went and got a fraudulent document and said that, a guy named Timothy owns it. But the person Timothy is the same person that, so back in the day when you would get deeds from, like, it was LaSalle Bank. LaSalle Bank is now Bank of America. They nominate somebody. And the person who they nominate is usually a bachelor or a widower. So back then the deeds would have this name on there that the bank nominated. So they're trying to use that as this is the person that owned it. And it's like, no, we own it. It's
is Timothy still alive? Is Timothy trying to say he owns it?
Timothy 90, and no, Timothy's dead, first of all. Okay, that's number one. And number two is that's what they used to do back in the day.
Course,
like if you look up how they used to do it. So the thing is, my mom's 75, my godfather's 80. They're not supposed to, they just take our properties, and they're going to continue to do it if no one does not fight for it and we get some legislation.
So when you're down there at these city council meetings, are you alone in this fight, or are there other people that's experiencing like illegal?
Yeah, there's a lady named she's not experiencing legal eminent domain. She's experiencing. Her name is Jessica Jackson. They're trying to take her property through probate court. Now her mother had no debt. Her mother left a 3-family building in South Shore. South Shore is still only one of the places that black people have for the lake, and they're trying to take her property. And she said, that has been paid off since she was 16. She's 61.
Mm-hmm. So who's the? Because it's somebody behind it, right? So I'm sure it's some white man that
or it could be black.
Or it could be black, because that happened to my parents in Brooklyn. So my parents had a brownstone in Brooklyn. My grandfather passed away, left it down to, it was like 12 of them. And he finagled his way on the deed and then was almost like part of that process. And I see them do that a lot, especially when they feel like people don't understand, don't know the laws, and they get in and then they're able to get this crib. So have you figured out who's behind trying to buy this crib? Because somebody semes like they're trying to buy this property, know the value of the property.
It's a white developer, and that's what they do. It's unfortunate, but our aldermen make deals behind our back and for, paybacks, whatever they want to call it, and they promise our properties to them. And you can't get any help. My mother, we have a federal court case. It's like pro se. We do have an attorney, but, I'm still, skeptical when it comes to him because they pay out, but there's an act called Blight Property Act 1947, 1949. And the Blighted Property Act 1947, 1949 that a lot of people don't talk about is, even if they felt like it was an abandoned building or they felt like it was something wrong with it, they're supposed to go to the governor, and the governor is supposed to ask the attorney general to eminent domain it, and you still have to compensate. They don't do no law, no policies, and I say this all the time, Chicago policies do not trump the U.S. Constitution. It does not trump federal laws. And that's the problem, I think, with America. We don't understand that the Constitution is for us, regardless of what color we are.
What can be done now? What can be done right now?
They can settle my case. But I know the reason why they won't settle it, I feel like, is because it'll be a line down at Cook County and City Hall, because black people have normalized that this is just what Chicago do. Yeah. Chicago just steal property. You can't get no help.
It ain't just Chicago. They were doing that in South Carolina.
They're doing it in Detroit.
Well.
Yeah, Atlanta. Somebody just sent me something in Atlanta. They're doing it. So it has to be some type of legislation. And that's my issue. With this election that's coming up, we need something as far as Black America. I don't know, whatever you guys identify as, because it's like a pronoun situation. If you're a freedman, freedwoman, whatever, ADOS, whatever. But as me, I'm a Black American. That's why I'm born and raised here. My family, that's what I identify as. But there needs to be some type of legislation when it comes to our housing, and there's no legislation. So
what are they trying to build there now? Because they demolished it.
Yeah,
you still
nothing.
Own the property. Are they trying to do something? Or?
No, they tried to sell it behind our back twice, the land. But we were able to take care of that.
How do they sell it behind your back?
Because they play with deeds. So you can go to Cook County right now, right? Mm-hmm. And you may know the guy, and you may find somebody that's a notary, and you pay them something, and you say, hey,
this person signed the deed over.
Yeah.
And how much is the property worth right now as it sits?
Well, it's no property. It's just land.
Just the land. How much is the land worth as it sits?
Shit, to me, it's $3 billion.
I ain't mad at you.
It's land. It's land. I need my money. I need. That's my generational wealth.
What's the realistic number though?
The realistic number.
What's the Zillow number?
I think probably about $1 million. But I think land is worth probably about a minimum of $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. First of all, it was 10 lots. Mm-hmm. They already took 6 of the lots and only left us with 4 lots. The lots behind us is our lots too, but they put a Save-A-Lot there.
So the Save-A-Lot should be paying y'all.
Yeah, like this is just what they do.
They put a
and the Save-A-Lot's not even there no more.
They put a business on your property?
Yes, they took half the lots. And we have
crazy.
a parking lot. So like I write Save-A-Lot like every month and let them know, play with me if you want to. Because I'm not playing with y'all. Like y'all, this is not what you guys do. Like this is not, I don't know what this is.
I am so confused. I really don't know how people could build on a piece of property that they don't have a deed on.
Chicago do whatever they want to do, and it's a cycle. Like I was talking to somebody the other day. She said she's been fighting for her grandmother's property since 1962. I mean, it's been her house since 1962. She's been fighting for 10 years, and she said she just gave up.
This might be a funny question, but where's the elected officials? Right? There's no elected officials in that district.
Stealing money, stealing this immigration money.
Jesus.
Like that's the problem too. We have to change the culture of these politicians because they both trash on both sides. You know, the Republicans is terrible. The Democrats is terrible. But the issue with Chicago is Chicago's turned to a communist city. Like it's only Democrats. You cannot, even if you want to run as a Republican, you're not gonna win. They have it as just Democrats.
So what names can people go at? Because you just can't say the city of Chicago. It got to be particular individuals.
Marlene Hopkins, that's the building department. We can start with her. Alderman David Moore is the date.
Let's go one by one. Explain what that person does and how they're involved, so people understand.
Okay,
because you got to break it down. Because a lot of people will be confused, like me. Like how the hell does this even happen?
Okay, so we got Marlene Hopkins. Marlene Hopkins is now the commissioner of the buildings department. She should have been fired when there was this Little Village explosion back 3 years ago when she was negligent with that. So what happens is anybody, one of her friends, or I'll say my Alderman David Moore can call up and say, hey, I need you to put this in for the buildings department. Say that it was building violations. That's why we demolished it. And people go with that instead of knowing like you have to go to buildings court. Mm-hmm. Now, my mother received a voicemail from the law department, and they gave her three options. The first option was that she was supposed that our alderman, which was David Moore, the 17th Ward, was supposed to reach out to us and offer us some type of money.
Compensation.
Yeah, compensation. He was supposed to go through the chairman of the City of Finance, and at that time it was Ed Burke. Ed Burke is now convicted. He's 80 years old, now convicted of taking bribes and taking property. Then you have the next one was file a claim. We filed a claim with the city. Now the city said that my mother's claim it expired, and it did not expire. The statute of limitations, the statute of limitations for Illinois for any type of claim is 2 years, and they told my mom that she didn't get her claim in time. They knocked the building down December 11th, 2017. Right. My mother put the claim in October 4th, 2018. They gave us back a letter December 11th, 2018. I got everything. This says that the claim was not put in time and that the statute of limitations expired. That's insurance fraud. That's bad faith insurance fraud because my mother put it in. So then when my mother went to hire a lawyer, they told the lawyer the same thing, and the lawyer put it in on the letterhead like, look, they're saying the statute of limitations has expired. However, you still have time to file a lawsuit. My mother filed the lawsuit, and when my mother filed the lawsuit, they still tried to deny the lawsuit because they said, well, we don't know who owns it. You know who owns it. You know who owns it. So now we're fighting with the ownership part. Now, they put in a fraudulent deed, but they didn't record it. What they did was they went and got a stamp of the person who was the recorder of deeds at that time. His name was Edward Moody. Edward Moody, he went and he was on trial for for Michael Madigan. Michael Madigan is about to be on trial. He was man. They all ain't shit in
all of
Chicago.
This sounds like this corruption.
It's just it's public corruption. It's just big public corruption. There's Tony Preckwinkle, who is the Cook County president, who needs to retire, and anybody can go up to the second floor, the 5th floor, and change out deeds, and you can't get no help.
It really seems like big bank take little bank, right? Because the amount of money I'm hearing that you have to pay attorneys it's through the roof.
But you said you can't even get an attorney.
Yeah, because they don't want to touch this case because this, first of all, uncomfortable truth is I'm black. My family's black. That's number one. Number two is Chicago is still one of the most segregated cities in America. And they work with each other. We have no civil rights attorneys. There's no civil rights attorneys. I don't even fuck with Ben Crump. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no civil rights attorneys. I reached out to Ben Crump. The only time we have civil rights attorneys is if we get killed. Okay? I call it the hashtag package. I got to get killed in order to get a civil rights attorney, in order to get some type of compensation and some type of justice and some media. I got to go. Why do I have to get killed or my family member has to get killed in order for me to find a civil rights attorney? And that's the problem. Our civil rights are being violated on the regular, and we cannot find any attorneys. So for this election coming up, and you've got all these people that want us to, the Democrats. The Democrats is fucking me over in Chicago. We have the most representation in black Democrats, and I can't get no help. Even they'll tell us, the aldermen and stuff, you need to get a lawyer. How the fuck can I get a lawyer? There's a civil rights attorney, Matt Martin. He is an alderman. You're a civil rights attorney. You see me coming in there every week.
Isn't that a conflict of interest?
It doesn't matter, nigga. You can find somebody.
Yeah.
You're like it's just messed up. Like, you're hearing this, but you're fighting for affordable housing. Like, how do you fight for affordable housing as a civil rights attorney, as an alderman, as a public servant, right? But you see 3 people coming down there about their properties for a year, and you have nothing to say.
How can people help you if they want to get in touch with you? Let's say they want to help. Let's say there is a way they know a civil attorney. Maybe there's a real estate attorney that can help you. How can people help you? Or even financially say, look, I want to throw some money in your thing to make you support because this is going to be a long fight. It's going to be a costly fight. How can they help you?
Well, I have a brand. Y'all can purchase a shirt. uncomfortabletruithlifestyle.com. My Instagram is mrstealyourwig@gmail.com. And I have, my mother has a nonprofit. It's Notre Dame Affordable Housing, and it's NDAHINC.com online. And she just really wants to build her building back, like, until this is settled, because we've been waiting over 120 days. I argued this case November 1st. I was able to argue this case to the judge, and the judge was so surprised, because I'm not a lawyer, but this, I know how to read, I know how to comprehend, and I know that this is not what's up. And I know that there's too much money out here in the government, in America, our taxpaying dollar, that I have to continue to fight and not get no justice.
It's also interesting too, because I follow you, and I saw not just this fight, but what you've been saying about the migrants.
Yeah, the migrants, they spent I know Dr. Umar was here, and he was saying that they spent over $400 million. No, they spent $2.2 billion, and I have it, like, I got all of it. Like, I have been keeping, like, the records. Like, it's $2.2 billion.
And I was saying all of this back in January because of activists like Zoe, but also because of who we talk to here in New York, what we see in New York going on. And when I'm bringing up these issues, people say it was MAGA messaging. It's not MAGA messaging.
No.
It's black people in the streets.
No, we are at a, like, honestly, like all jokes aside, we are at a race of emergency when it comes to Black America, whatever you call yourself, because that's another argue too. The Moors and stuff, I don't want to argue with y'all. But whoever, black people, we are at a race of emergency when it comes to these immigrants. And that's just what it is. We give our vote, and I'm not saying vote for whoever you want to vote, but we continue to vote blue. And we do not get anything. We just watched George Floyd, right, get killed in front of us. We just watched Sonia Massey, that's in Illinois, just get killed in front of us. And we still do not have a hate crime bill. Now, the Asians done got a hate crime bill during COVID, okay? The Jews, anti-Semitism, that just passed through Congress. So how many times do we have to get killed to get some type of legislation? But we continue to vote blue, and if we don't vote, it's turned to a cult. I'm 38 years old, right? And I have common sense. And I think this is the election of common sense, okay? We just watch, I'm watching I'm going to these meetings, right? Finance, meeting is very important. The budget meeting is very important. Housing and real estate is very important in your local states. And you're watching all this money being passed, right? You're watching all this money being passed for housing, for resources. They're using our statistics. Like, we're the highest in everything. We even get hit by bicycles. Like, how the fuck? Bicycles? Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're for everything, right? So you get this money, and then none of it goes to our community. Where's the money at? Where's the audits? Where's IRS criminal division? Like, there was, in 1984 in Chicago, there was something called Operation Greylord. Operation Greylord is when they went and they picked up judges, they picked up police officers, lawyers, all that for all the corruption, right? And it needs to be another Operation Greylord, but this time with the city. But the IRS was involved, the feds was involved, because IRS criminal division needs to be involved because there's too many people sleeping on the street. Migrants as well, for you to have $2.2 billion. You're spending $700,000 a month, $700,000 a day on shelters. Where is this money at? You're dumping these undocumented immigrants in our communities that are already under-resourced. You're pushing us out. There's been mass illegal evictions, right? And they're not even putting that online. They're not even putting that on the news because they get more money with the illegals, you know? So, like, we're messed up, and this is our election. So, like, my thing is, people will say, oh, you know, Trump is racist, the Republicans are racist. Well, let's get into the Democratic Party. Like, when the last time y'all really did something for us? Like, when I talk even about crack epidemic, every person that family member or main guardian was on crack, every child should have been able to go to school for free. Like, that messed us up. We prevailed slavery, the race riots, Jim Crow, crack epidemic, mass incarceration. Now we're dealing with illegal immigrants. Y'all have all this money, you know, and they go back and forth. Well, it was the Republicans, it's the Democrats. Well, at the end of the day, you know, Kamala, like, there was an executive order, executive order 14010. That was issued by President Biden, but she was supposed to oversee when it came to these immigrants coming over here from South America and stuff like that. Like, if I understand you the vice president, well, who did you have to help you oversee? Because I've been an assistant. I've been an assistant to Killer Mike. I've been a manager to Dick Gregory and assistant. And when they need me to do something, I go ahead and do it. So if you put somebody else in charge, they just open up the border on our asses. You know what I'm saying? But then in 2021, when them Haitians was trying to come over here, they was pushing them back. So you got to keep the same energy. But you find all this money, $2.2 billion, $700,000 a day on migrant shelters, but we're supposed to continue to vote the way that we vote? No, what are you going to give us? We need legislation. We need a hate crime bill today. You know, people keep talking about, oh, Trump wants to give immunity to police. Police already have immunity. Look at your U.S. Look at the Constitution. Look at the civil rights that will be violated. I sued Delta by myself. Okay, I had my shirt on, paper pussy piece, and they said, "Oh, you can't have that on." Da 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 da. Show me in a policy where I can have it. Show me in a policy where I can have it.
How much you won?
I won $20,000.
Okay.
But
now they made me take off my hat one day. That's why I asked that. My hat says sex, and they made me take off my hat.
Yeah, but there's no policy. Just like how they telling people that they can't wear the Palestine flag. The employees. What? Like, what happened to freedom of speech? It's 2024, my nigga. Like, it's 2024. We're not living in 1900s. We're not living in 1901. Like, this is crazy. So my thing is, I've always said, I have a black agenda. We don't have a black agenda. I have a black agenda. And my thing is, it's supposed to be 12% of America is black, right? We need 12% of jobs. We need 12% of contracts. We need 12%. And if neither one of these parties can give us 12%, what are we voting for? Because people say, oh, our ancestors died for this. Our ancestors looking at us like, bitch, what are y'all doing? I know for sure Dick Gregory is not like, yeah, just continue to vote because you just want to vote. Yeah, just continue to. No. Like, what the fuck is you going to give us? We don't have, our kids are beating, what's that game, that video game?
Minecraft.
Minecraft. The other one,
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They beat these in a day. Why don't we have video game developers or anything like that in our communities? Why don't we have any STEM programs in our community? Apps. Y'all are making a killing off of us on Instagram. Do you see how much the pennies that we getting in social media? The pennies that we're getting? Why don't we have our own social media app? And I know fan base, but I'm just saying, like that, we don't have the resources, but we are the Bank of America. We are the culture of America. We are America. Mm-hmm. And we continue to get penny. I'm tired of it. The Democratic agenda is the LGBTQ agenda, and I'm part of it. But that's a white agenda. Okay? It's abortions as well and immigration. Okay? The Republicans is these extreme, crazy Christian reviews. When it comes to women's rights, and my thing is women's rights should be off the table. There's no way in the world that they should be arguing back and forth, and that's our fault, And we continue to allow little things like how we let Bruce Jenner, what's his name, Caitlyn Jenner, be Woman of the Year. What the fuck was wrong with us? What the fuck was wrong with us? Yeah, like none of this makes any sense, and this is common sense. Pretty soon, the Democratic Party, men ain't gonna have no voice. Y'all can't say shit. If y'all say anything, here come a rape charge. Here come a hoe. Like groupies been out here. Hoes been out here, and they're gonna continue side bitches for life. They're never going nowhere.
Let's bring it back to Chicago.
Sorry.
So, yeah, now, how can people help you with your illegal eminent domain case?
I need a civil rights attorney, yes. and I feel like it. A civil rights attorney. There's plenty of other people that do need help out there. But there's illegal foreclosures. They're stealing properties through delinquent taxes, but it's really not delinquent. But yeah, I need an attorney. I need an attorney that's not scared to go up against the city.
Is there an email you feel comfortable giving out or something?
Oh yeah, Leigh Zoe LEIGHZOE23@gmail.com.
Well, Zoe, we appreciate you joining us and keep us abreast of what's going on.
And I hope just providing this platform gets the word out because, like I said, yes. I've been watching you fight this fight for a long time on IG. So
I thank you so much. Mm-hmm. You do not even understand. Like you were the first. I've reached out to plenty of other black journalists, black influencers, and people are scared to take this story.
Why you reach out to me? You don't think I was black?
I know you're black, okay. But y'all are connected.
With you. But now we appreciate you.
Dominican.
So
I am black. I'm not Dominican.
But thank you.
Absolutely.
No, but thank you, and good luck. We wish you the best luck, and keep us abreast. Like I said, let us know what's going on because I'm sure, just like what the city's doing it to you, I'm sure the city is doing it to somebody else out there, and you can be able to guide them of what to do, and hopefully, you can save your family property, your generational wealth.
Right. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Zoe. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up
early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.